And in 3, 2, 1.
Tell me about how you came up with the concept for Seed.
Well, Seed was really an extension of what the Camp concept. Camp is one of the first green retail projects in the country. It's about 11 years old. The Seed project is about 5 years old, and it really is a accumulation of several different movements. It's about education, culture, sustainability, and we really wanted to be a place that celebrated the people that were really focusing on those types of products and bringing them all together through education.
So you wanted to educate people on how they could be more sustainable, more eco-friendly, and by showing them all these wonderful products you have, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I think what's really happened with sustainability or green in general, I think in some ways people expect it these days, and we went through this phase early on in the life of sustainability, that it was all about sustainability and not design. I think today people expect both. So this was really an opportunity for us to be able to show that we can deliver a product that does have good design and good function, and also environmentally friendly. I think my best example I can share with you is probably the Patagonia outdoor company. And so I think that was an inspiration. It's probably our core product into the Seed store from an apparel standpoint. And then we expanded that into home, yoga. We have yoga education upstairs. We've had guests lecturing on climbing and surfing and environmental lecturing. We've had gardening, so I think it's just being able to present the entire culture and not just segments of it. That's what Seed does.
And how did you come up with the idea? Take me back to the original moment when Seed popped into your head and how you envisioned it to be.
Well, again, the platform for us was the Camp. The Camp was the first that I'm aware of green retail center in the country. This project is, it's really looking back, I think we've really had the opportunity to do some fun things. We have a full percolation system in the parking lot here. That's why the parking lot is sloped, so all the water in the project gets percolated in the parking lot. All of the we have grass roofs. All of the wood is certified. So I think Seed really, we wanted product that basically was the extension of the campus that we've built in here. And quite honestly, we looked around the country. We were hoping that we could find somebody that was a sort of full-fledged retailer to come in and do this, and we unfortunately weren't able to find that particular retailer we were looking for. Economy was not very good 5 years ago, as you may recall. So based on our background, we decided, I think this is something we're going to take on and create on our own, because we wanted it to be authentic, and we weren't willing to sacrifice on the authenticity. I think that's what sort of gave us the inspiration to do this.
And what's amazing to me, it's all the little details here that make it such an amazing and special place, like even the parking spaces. How did you come up with that idea to put all these little fascinating and spiritual slogans in the parking lot?
Well, I think we're in the memory making business. We really want people to, have their experience start right from the parking lot, as opposed to once they enter the center, or once they enter the store, or once they enter one of our restaurants. So, we really think through the whole process. I think most of us around the world, and particularly in this country, live fairly stressful lives. And I think this blending of mindfulness with the goods and services, I think that's, I honestly think that's sort of the wave of the future. So we wanted to make sure that we offer products and experiences. At the same time, we wanted to make sure that the products are meaningful, and we want the place to feel like community. I think it's very important that people have this village comfort level, when they participate in our projects, as opposed to a traditional mall, which doesn't really have much of a personal customization or personality.
It really is amazing from the experience standpoint, no question about it. When people come here to the camp, it exceeds expectations. That's what you always want to do. Well, no matter what kind of business you're in.
That is wonderful to hear, and if we have achieved that, then I'm really stoked. But that's what we strive to do.
Yeah, and even the little things like this. When I talk about the little details, it's all the beautiful landscaping. Right. It's even the little bike that's in front of Seed. With the plant inside of it.
Well, thank you for noticing the details. By the way, you can hear the birds chirp in the background as well. But it is really experience-based. I think that people are looking for authenticity. They like things that are real. You know, our country became very homogenized. You know, quick story after World War II. You know, I think everything, our philosophy in this country was mass production and homogenization. You know, if you look at our food category as an example, you can see you know, we were sort of the master of the fast food concept, you know. And I really see sort of reversal of roles. You know, I think as our culture in this country is about 300 years old, I think we're starting to think a little bit deeper about the things that we consume. You know, I think that's where we're seeing tremendous success with organic foods. We are consuming products that are more meaningful to us. It's really less about homogenization and more about customization, personalization. It's about making people feel good. So I think it's a combination of all of that. I truly see it as this cultural shift. You know, we happen to get on it pretty early on, which I'm really excited about, but I don't see us as a culture going back, you know, backwards. But I do think this is sort of the wave of the next generation of consumers and what they expect.
With Seed in the camp being as spiritual and organic as it is, you're obviously very spiritual and organic yourself. How did that come about? Was that a transition into later on in your life, or have you always been that way?
Well, I don't know if I've always been that way. You know, I think, you know, I guess, you know, as we sort of go through the journey of life, there are certain things that, you know, that touch us. And, you know, we do extensive travel, and I would honestly have to say that through travel, I mean, I think my wife and our family and we've averaged about 20 countries a year, you know. So I think each time we spend time in Bhutan, as an example, we realize, wow, this is really an interesting way of living, that they have lived this way for 500 years. And so you have to learn from that, you know. So I think as you travel around the world, and each culture and each area has something to offer, and I really think for us, we get very excited about these cultural studies, and then we translate those cultural studies into the way we live, and then the products that we put out there. But I think the main thing is that we really believe in it. You know, I think for us, you know, we would probably do well building storage units, but I'm not sure if that's going to give us sort of the passion that we're looking, or the satisfaction that we're looking for. You know, we could also go do Starbucks centers, you know, with a Happy Nail and you know, a video store, but you know, it's just not the product that we have any interest in. So I think for us, it's been very exciting to be able to translate culture. And it's the way we live our lives. Yeah, it's an extension of how we live.
And it all started with the lab.
It started at the lab, and I would have to say the roots of it is, you know, I was involved in the surf industry for many years. And so I think anybody that's into surfing or into the outdoors, that enjoys the oceans, I think that grabs a part of you, you know, for life. So I would honestly say it started off with, you know, clean oceans and just the environment, and as I mentioned, being able to really enjoy the outdoors. I think that's sort of the base that it came from. And I think just through education, you know, you can see most of all through America, you know, organic foods are in. I mean, that is really a matter of education. I think once you realize, you know, how bad some of our, you know, genetically modified foods are, it's hard to go back, you know. And so I think any organizations that got into that on that program early on, such as Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, I think a lot of those, I call it the next generation of products, I think they're all enjoying quite a bit of success. So that's, you know, I think we were really on that same path pretty early on.
Going back to the lab when it first started, so you're at the time you're at Quicksilver, you're the president of Quicksilver.
Yes.
It's a huge decision to leave Quicksilver, this monstrous, successful company, as president, and start the lab. So how did that all come together? What came into your mind? Where were you? Who were you with? That it all came together and created what's now known as the lab.
Well, it's never one thing. I think it's just a combination or series of things that sort of happen in your life that, but at the time, Orange County went bankrupt. Many of us remember that. The surf industry actually took a pretty big hit. It was the first Gulf War, savings and loan collapse with Lincoln savings and loan. So I think the economy wasn't quite as sort of aggressive as what we just went through, but it was not very good. And so I think through that process, and again, going back to travel, I mean, I had realized that, you know, your average young person, and I was very focused into the youth culture back then, wasn't the one to go hang out at the mall. I think they did in the 70s. You know, I grew up in Michigan. That was the thing to do when I grew up in the 60s and 70s. But I think this next generation seemed to be a lot more sophisticated. And I think, you know, the sort of the short of it is, I read an article in Wall Street Journal that Mall of America was kicking kids out of the mall because they considered them as cotton candy eating, bubble gum chewing, hot dog on a stick consumer. And I'm looking at this customer and thinking, wow, we just sold a couple $1 billion worth of surf clothes, and they were into clean oceans, they were into politics, they were into technology. You know, this was a sophisticated generation coming through. So we recognized that fairly early on, and again through travel we realized that there's got to be alternative ways for the sort of the shopping experience or place of gathering. You know, and they were looking for that place of gathering, and it really wasn't a mall. And there are lots of places like Orange County where we don't have, you know, the old downtown. We don't have a Soho here. You know, we don't have those kind of village environments. So it seemed to really make a lot of sense. It was a tough decision. I actually had my wife Linda started it. And very quickly she sort of found the real estate, and I think once we made a decision that this is what we were going to do, then, you know, I made the transition and never looked back.
I think we should get some shots of us walking. We got to get Linda as well, but we should get some shots walking so you can show different, because we don't want to show him.
You good? Yeah. Remember my first wife, Linda?
Oh, we've met.
Yes.
We have met. How was your trip?
It was great. Yeah, it was very, very inspiring. I tell you, I have to tell you all about it.
I can
Good. All right. Very good. Well, you folks want to you want us to walk you through and point it? You guys can go through and
Advertising King Coffee.
you guys can kind of go through and, you know, slice this thing whatever you want. But
Exactly.
this section of the store is what we call the apparel. The apparel is really geared towards this nomad travel, and it's sort of that, you know, the outdoor guy meets the urban. We're finding that there's a lot of blending that goes on. Our leader product here is Patagonia. It's a company we highly respect. We do very well with it. A Patagonia product that uses recycled bottles and stuff.
Let me help out this customer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem. Let me know in other case, okay?
Sorry. Everybody needs you. But they use a lot of recycled bottles and
From recycled bottles? Well, the plastic.
Yep, plastic and recycled. Recycling aspect of highlight a couple of products for them.
Let me pull out a couple that are made from recycled
Okay.
bottles.
And then if you look at the cotton products in here, they're all, you know, Patagonia decided to go after organic cotton pretty early on, and it was a very substantial decision for the size of company they are. I mean, they continue to make things better and more sustainable. So I would definitely think that they are the leaders within the industry. The other products in
Patagonia, I just saw something.
They're pieces to tell you how many bottles were used to make the product.
Yeah.
With Patagonia, it's mostly recycled polyester that they pull from either old product that they have, because they try to just use all the materials that they can. Old product and organic cotton.
So, and it's natural dye, so they're not using any chemicals. So the difference really on the organic cotton is that they're not really getting into the heavy chemicals.
But it takes an amazing amount of effort.
And it's expensive.
To create this, very expensive, which means...
You know, it's really no different than buying organic food at Trader Joe's. It's going to cost you more than going to Safeway.
Yeah.
But I think people realize that kids that came out of Vanguard College here locally, and on the advisory board for it's a Christian school, and you know, it's just incredible how these kids came out of school and started this fantastic company. They're doing really well. I think they're in their 4th year in business. So I think Seed was sort of this products has a story. One of the things that really became very important for us is that heritage and authenticity, and I think through that journey of finding environmentally friendly, been around for hundreds of years. vintage Levi's. Our shoe section also, and as you can kind of see, all of the products have some sort of a story or some sense of authenticity, you know.
Every single product.
Yeah. So travel again is a big part. We do a huge deal with outdoor backpack travel. You know, we do bicycles in each section. I can show you. Excuse me. Whoops. This is the sort of the All-American Heritage section. You can see the selection of, as an example, this is a Wolverine 1000. This is one of the oldest shoes made in America, and they've never changed this design on it. It's called in USA is a big deal for us. So I think wherever we can find products that are made in USA, I think these Filson bags, this is an old bag company out of Seattle. And young customers are really understanding the quality aspect and the heritage aspect of these old American brands. So we've brought all of them back. Pendleton is another example. That's a company out of Portland, Oregon. You know, they've been around more than 100 years. You know, they do blankets. You can see how wonderful their blankets are. So, you know, everything has a reason. Everything has some heritage to it, you know.
And this is just like an old-fashioned 1950 sweater.
Yeah.
With almost like an Indian type of logo.
And this has probably been in their archives, if you look at some of this stuff, for many years.
Well,
and I think
it's like 19
products. So we
everything covered.
We really just sort of
Children to dogs. To kitchen. To outdoors.
Yes.
Every aspect of life.
It's just, and I think that's why it's very important for us.
About this.
Well, these are, again, everything here is organic, and you know, they're packaged. So this is a seed start. So this is a good example of, you know, they teach you how to do this, and then we have gardeners that actually come in, you know, gardening in. And as a matter of fact, you know, a lot of people are gardening again. So this is a big deal for us. It really is. We do the same thing with just going out and enjoying, you know, like if we did a knife, this is carved out of a wood, you know. So like these are all recycled materials, American made. So everything is very carefully selected to represent artisans and artisans cross country. These are sort of the sections. These are all artisans. This is all recycled material. So you can see these wallets are made out of tires.
Made out of what?
Bicycle tube tires.
Bicycle tube tires.
These belts are made out of bicycle tubes. So instead of throwing your tubes away, you make them into belts. So everything here, you can see these are iPad. This is bicycle tubes.
Yeah.
So everything in here is just the opportunity of
buying.
Oh yeah. No, I'm very much involved in the buying.
Like all the products here.
Yep.
Just like at the lab, or no? Those are more.
Store. We have a series of stores. We had a few in Anaheim as well, but I work with the team to do all the buying. Yeah, we select things very body products. So it's either organic or it's made by local artisans. Everything has a story. You can see Bali and the cause.
There's purpose for everything.
Yes,
And what's amazing is just what you pulled out, the tire.
Yeah, I think
the bike tire.
everything, there's a purpose for every item and for people. I mean, I think that's really the thing. I think there's a real demand for, you know, you can look around at every one of these things, you know, like this, you can see these, you know, it's phenomenal with those, you know.
It's just a wood fence.
Yeah.
So instead of destroying the wood, or is it firewood?
This clock is made out of an old wood. You can kind of see everything is
But what would they do with the wood? They would.
Yeah. So that's the purpose.
And everything, every little thing.
Every little thing, yeah. I mean, it's all.
So it just shows you. You don't have to
yeah, and you don't have to throw anything away.
Let's take the belt, for example. Obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
We do the trade shows. You know, we travel. So I think we look at every aspect of how to find and how to, you know, create those items. For instance, this is threads for thoughts. You know, so one of the things that happens here is. This is all about
those people away. I can't imagine how many thousands of people who have come in here, literally have been blown away. Why you do what you do?
Yeah. Well, it's all, you know, it's fun for us. It really is. But I think the idea of curating all this product, you know, together, it's really been an exciting process for us. By the way, this is in blocks. You can see that this display is made out of an old bicycle. So I think everything through here has.
He's starting to play tournaments where college coaches are coming. So yeah, but he won a couple awards this year at high school, so we're excited about that.
How does Harvard?
3, 2, 1.
Tell me about how you were involved in the inception of Seed and how you were inspired yourself, or how you inspired your husband.
Okay, well, it was actually pretty easy. We were at a point in our lives where we were starting our family. We were rather old parents, and I think in being very, very much involved in our family at that point, we were very conscious of, now what do we feed them? Where do we take them? How do we protect them? Where do we want them to be exposed to, even retail? How do we protect them from the glossy Orange County that we found ourselves in? So I think it was part of our evolution as a family. We took them camping, we took them, we even took them overseas early on, exposing them to different cultures and environments. And I think Seed was really the beginning of that. We really wanted a place where you could find products with a purpose, which is actually, our tagline at Seed.